Welcome to Project Adventure's webinar, Social Emotional Learning by Doing. I'm Jen Durga, the Director of Social and Emotional Learning at Project Adventure, and I'm joined today by my two colleagues, Prudy Candace and Laura McDonald. And I'm going to ask them to briefly introduce themselves and speak about how they came to this work. Prudy?
Hi, Jen and Laura. My name is Prudy Candace, and I am the 612 Wellness Curriculum Coordinator in Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District. I have been teaching for over 37 years. I have taught in all the various grade levels, and currently I'm teaching at the high school level. I have a master's in education, and I received my National Board Certification, Physical Education, Early and Middle Childhood in 2003 and renewed it in 2013. So I want to give our audience some of the history between Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District and Project Adventure. In 1971, a few visionary educators in Hamilton wanted to bring the tenets of Outward Bound into an educational setting. They did this by setting up a classroom at the high school, working with staff to develop experiential learning for students across the disciplines, and they built the first ever ropes course in an educational setting. I also attended another local high school where Project Adventure came to my school in the early 70s as well. Thus, I feel I have a very unique perspective. I've been a student in Project Adventure, and I've had the privilege of being a teacher of Project Adventure. So I want to thank you and Laura for inviting me to participate in this webinar.
Thank you so much, Prudy. And Laura, I would invite you right now to really just speak about your experience and what brought you to Project Adventure and experiential learning.
Thanks, Jen. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura McDonald. I'm a senior trainer and consultant here at Project Adventure. I've been passionate about experiential education since first experiencing it myself over 20 years ago. I remember feeling fully engaged that day. I also remember so vividly an incredible series of aha moments that prompted me to look at learning differently. What hooked me that day and moves me every day since is this. I did something that I didn't think I could do, and I made a deep connection with a group of people I didn't know very well. As a team, we created a safe space for each of us to explore our strengths and illuminate our gaps. Each of us went away that day learning something new about ourselves and about being a positive part of a community of learners.
Thank you so much, Laura. Again, I'm Jen Durga, the Director of Social Emotional Learning at Project Adventure. And I came to Project Adventure from 15 years at a social emotional program. The structure was a class meeting, and the approach was language-based. Most SDL programs have this similar didactic approach where you talk about social and emotional skills. We know when students are engaged in an activity, it becomes real and lived, walking the walk, not just talking the talk. That's the approach at Project Adventure. SEL is experienced, and reflection and application are fundamental components of the learning. And from our programs, I hear through the trainings and activities, both students and adults are constantly reporting these new discoveries about themselves and about others, and really learning about their own social and emotional competencies. Recently, at my daughter's middle school open house, her science teacher was talking about a trip that they were taking. It was this experiential adventure trip. And her teacher said that the life skills and the social and emotional skills that students are going to learn through this experience will be more important than the academic content students will learn all year. And I was thinking, wow, this is what we do at Project Adventure. So I'm going to ask you to think about, your memories from school. moments of learning that stand out to you, whether it was a project or an activity that you were totally engaged in, something that you had strong emotional connection to. That's how we learn best, when we're engaged and emotion is attached to that experience. Kurt Hahn, one of the founders of experiential education, said, "I regard it as the foremost task of education to ensure the survival of these qualities: an enterprising curiosity, an undefeatable spirit, tenacity in pursuit, readiness for sensible self-denial, and above all, compassion." Kurt Hahn's quote speaks not only to experiential learning, but also to the development of critical social and emotional skills. That's self-motivation, the resilience and grit, the growth mindset, and really the ability to set and achieve goals. And importantly, delayed gratification and self-regulation skills, and also empathy, all gained through experiential learning. So as we go through this webinar, I'm going to ask you to think about your own social and emotional skills, your own level of self-awareness, your ability to get along with others, how you set and achieve goals, the ways you handle problems, or how you handle setbacks. And think about your own experience learning these skills. How do you develop and learn these skills, and how do you demonstrate these skills within a group? Maybe through talking or observation, but I'm guessing that most of us learn these skills through doing and reflecting. And I assume most of you want your students, no matter the age, to really learn and develop these skills. Project Adventure offers programs that really create opportunities to learn social and emotional competencies through active, engaging experiences. Project Adventure is social and emotional learning by doing. I'm going to be taking some time now to briefly review the definitions of experiential learning and social emotional learning and the benefits of both. And then I'm also going to briefly share the types of programming that we offer at Project Adventure that both strengthen and support social and emotional learning. And then I'm going to ask Prudy and Laura to share why schools use Project Adventure to support and promote social and emotional learning and the impact on students' ability to live these SEL skills. So what is experiential education and experiential learning? For the purpose of this webinar, the definition we'll use is experiential learning is engaging in learning experiences that truly involve the learner and produces real outcomes. Experiential learning is creating an engaging experience that really increases motivation and this collaborative inquiry. Through experiential learning, there really becomes this personal and group investment in the activity and in the learning. Teamwork and communication become essential in achieving common goals. Collaboration and creative problem-solving skills are a necessary part of the experience, and through it, learning becomes a lived process. So there are these two professors, Kane and Kane, in the early 90s, who developed the initial research supporting the components that fostered brain-compatible learning environments. And their research supported the benefits of creating engaging learning where students feel safe and supported to take the necessary risks for growth and learning. Some of the benefits of experiential learning: it accelerates cognitive growth. So It encourages this intellectual risk-taking. It fosters learning and decision-making skills. It improves metacognition. So by making conscious choices and planning around goals and doing this intentional reflection, in turn it expands the learning and increases reflective practices that then can be applied to new learning. We also know that emotionally charged events are better remembered. They're remembered more with better accuracy and for longer. So we know strong emotions change learning into experience. Research supports that greater emotional arousal around a learning event really helps a person retain the event and details about the event. And what's the impact on learning? When you are emotionally invested and engaged in an activity, you are more likely to remember it and be able to generalize and apply that learning. So what is social and emotional learning? We're using the definition from the Collaborative for Academic and Social and Emotional Learning. And really, social and emotional learning is learning social and emotional competencies and then being able to apply them. So research continues to show the benefits of social emotional learning. Research shows the effectiveness it has on academic performance and on critical skills for life. Back in the 1990s, Daniel Goleman did this groundbreaking research where he validated the importance of emotional intelligence, so that while being intelligent is important, emotional intelligence is a greater predictor of life success. So what that means is you may be smart, land the job, but if you can't get along with others, if you can't regulate your emotions, you're less likely to keep the job. Too often, the modality for teaching social and emotional learning is through a more teacher-directed model using this didactic approach. The question becomes, so what, now what? You talk about social and emotional skills, perhaps with your students, using a didactic curriculum, but how do we move from talking the talk to walking the walk and shift from the approach of saying how we use social and emotional skills to applying social and emotional skills? At Project Adventure, we have this hands-on, engaging approach to social emotional learning. Our programs for both students and adults really create these active and engaging opportunities focused on learning critical social and emotional skills. It becomes such an effective modality for learning. So learning social and emotional competencies through Project Adventure. Our programs promote the teaching and application of social and emotional competencies through engaged experiential learning activities. At Project Adventure, we want students to engage in activities that really require experiencing social and emotional skills and allow for that meaningful learning and application. This type of deep, meaningful learning really makes it possible for students to generalize their learning and then be able to apply that learning to other areas in school and life. Our pedagogical approach through experiential learning really promotes communication, that's self and social awareness, self-regulation skills, and problem solving. Our approach is based on the research that learning and engagement come from creating an expanding cycle of experiences that are relevant, challenging, and fun, and those can then be transferred and applied to real-life situations. Our adventure model of active learning really fosters self-regulation and supports resilience, grit, a growth mindset approach. Our experiential learning cycle of experiencing something and then being able to reflect on that experience helps to provide meaningful learning for both individuals and groups. Our programs and foundational concepts are designed to really achieve desired SEL outcomes and to facilitate group development and establish positive relationships. I'm going to ask you right now to really think about the social emotional skills needed for success in life. What do you need to know how to do at work, at school, and in relationships? This is the skill set for 21st century learning, which includes communication skills, resiliency, perseverance, and problem solving. Skills like goal setting, brainstorming, and consequential thinking, and that ability to develop plans and achieve goals. At Project Adventure, we help individuals and groups, we help students and adults live those skills. And so I'm going to pause here right now and at this time invite Prudy and Laura to speak about their experience. So Prudy, I'd ask you to speak on why your school system chose Project Adventure to support social and emotional learning, and really the impact on learning and applying these important social emotional skills through Project Adventure.
Thanks, Jen. A major component of our outdoor education courses is for students to build the knowledge and leadership skills they will need that will help them live, learn, and lead in a community. As we know, leadership is about influence and effective communication skills, which are valuable to personal and professional success. So basically, we are trying to develop skills the students can use throughout their lives. As a teacher of outdoor education courses, and with this curricular goal in mind, I wanted to provide my students with a new and unique situation for them to practice their leadership skills. I accomplished this by having my classes travel down to the elementary schools and have the opportunity to teach Project Adventure initiatives to various grade levels of students. As part of this process, each class decided on a group of initiatives to teach the elementary students with the goal of intentional community building. I wanted my students to walk the walk. They had learned about leadership, practiced leadership skills in class. Now, in a new learning situation, could they demonstrate their leadership and social and emotional learning skills of self and social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making in a real-time setting? As they taught the elementary students the different initiatives, on the fly, the students had to resolve problems that arose. They had to create an inclusive and positive learning environment while demonstrating their respect to all students. It was wonderful to watch different students develop their self-confidence throughout the day as they practiced their leadership skills and made great connections with elementary students. An example that stands out for me is about a certain young lady who was a quiet student. She tended to hold back in class, and in Project Adventure terms, she was usually crew during our classes. She would assist, but never stepped up to be a leader. While down at the elementary school, she took a very active leadership role within our class as well as with the elementary students. As she applied communication and problem-solving skills, it was amazing to watch her confidence increase by the minute. She was very self-motivated in her role to provide an inclusive and safe environment for all the students. She later told me she always thought she might like to be a teacher. So through the reflection process, she was able to transfer this learning experience into a possible career choice. But the really interesting piece to observe was for the rest of the year. Back in class at the high school, she became one of the class leaders. She was motivated to be a leader. She was inclusive in all her interactions with her peers, and her confidence as a valued member of the community grew each class. She continued to walk the walk. After this field trip, her peers started to and then continued to value her as a leader of their class. They would look to her for guidance during problem-solving initiatives and class decision-making. She continued to apply her leadership skills outside of class as she became a mentor for younger students. This is just one of many examples I have witnessed over the years of how experiential learning, combined with focusing on social and emotional learning skills, can help students transfer their learning into a real-world application.
Thank you so much, Prudy.
You're welcome.
And now, Laura, I'm going to ask you if you could talk about your experience delivering Project Adventure programming to schools and how you've seen students really apply social emotional learning because of this work.
Thanks, Jen. Well, recently I had the opportunity to work with students at the Alternative Learning Centers of the Bronx in New York City. The ALC's goal is to provide continuity of academic instruction and the development and preservation of social and emotional learning for students while they're on superintendent suspension. I asked each student to write down a challenging problem they were facing right then in their lives and to choose an object that represented that problem for them. There was a marble, a golf ball, a ping pong ball, a matchbox car, a wooden egg. All of the objects have different features. Some roll fast and are hard to control. Some don't like to roll at all, and some are unwieldy or need constant attention. The group's challenge was to get all the objects from point A to B using the length of pipe each person had. To solve their own problem, they would have to rely on others. As I watched them tackle this activity, I noticed that students who sat in the back of the room when I arrived and didn't know anyone's names were suddenly standing shoulder to shoulder with the others. That one kid who was really quiet, he shared an idea, and that changed the way the group was approaching the problem. The outspoken joker in the group took on the role of cheerleader because she realized yelling at the group wasn't helping. Following the activity, I asked them what they thought they did to accomplish the task. Not how they rolled the objects through the pipes, but rather what did each of them contribute to the group so that they could get it done. They all agreed the biggest thing they had shown was determination. I invited them to explore determination a bit more. This is what they came up with. Their determination looked like, it sounded like, and it felt like this. Then I asked them if this list said anything to them about the challenges they wrote down before we started. This was one young man's response. He said, "Did you see so-and-so and how he was bugging me? He always does that. He kept saying my idea wouldn't work and he was getting in my face, annoying me. I told the teacher and she talked to him, but he kept doing it. It was pissing me off. I wanted to walk away. But I was having fun and we were getting our idea to work and I didn't want to stop. So I told myself to just ignore him." Personally, I was thrilled by his demonstration of self-awareness and his ability to manage his emotions. But he wasn't finished. He went on to say, "It's why I got suspended. Guys getting in my face, giving me a hard time. I finally just hit them. Now, though, I know I can do it. I can walk away even when it's hard." What adventure activities do is offer a laboratory in which to practice the skills we all need for life. It provides a fun, engaging problem which demands to be solved. one that requires the group to share and assess ideas, to make decisions that everyone has a say in, and to execute and evaluate solutions. And while doing that, the group is practicing positive ways to be in community and developing a common language so they recognize positive behavior when it happens. When that learning cycle is repeated and built upon, students see themselves differently. They recognize the value they bring to the group, and in turn, they value what others bring. They have the skills and the language to deal with real-life situations.
Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you, Prudy. And thank you for sharing how Project Adventure really supports social emotional learning and helps students to really apply these critical social and emotional skills. So thank you both for that. At this time, we invite you to send any questions. We welcome your questions, and anything we can't answer during the remaining time, we'll send our response in a follow-up email, along with access to all the slides, the handouts, and as Matt said, the research and reference materials. If you have any additional questions, you can visit our website at www.pa.org. And we all want to thank you for your time today. So, our first question today is, what programs do you offer at Project Adventure that promote SEL skills for schools? We offer a variety of programs. We offer programs for students, so adventure-based programs that can be on or off-site, that really focus on community building, SEL, and leadership development for youth. We offer trainings for teachers, so teachers can model effective teaching and learning of SEL skills through adventure experiential learning and really creating opportunities for classroom application throughout the day. We offer trainings for administrators and staff, and again, on-site here or off-site Project Adventure-based programming, really working on fostering relationships, strengthening communication, leveraging leadership, and enhancing shared leadership, and supporting positive school climates. We offer physical education trainings, ACPE, which is the adventure curriculum, and training to support health and wellness standards, along with these social and emotional competencies. We have programs for out-of-school time, which is using a portable adventure model, kind of a train-the-trainer approach, where students and staff engage in activities that really support group development and promote positive social and emotional skills and develop and strengthen relationships. And we also here on site have challenge course days for both youth and adults, where groups can come out and support the use of social and emotional skills, things like self-awareness, decision-making, communication. We offer recess time and support to athletic teams, again, to promote team building, collaborative games, communication, cooperation, problem solving, and leadership. If you want more information, please visit our website. So do you offer social and emotional programming for out-of-school time? Yes, we're currently working with some out-of-school programs that promote the CASEL SEL competencies. It's more of a 12 to 20-week train-the-trainer approach where we go on site and help students engage in these collaborative activities and support the educators in those programs, and then implementing the same activities and doing these reflective practices. As a PE teacher, how do you weave core competencies around SEL into PE frameworks and standards and the curriculum? So this one, I'm going to hand over to Laura, and then Prudy, maybe you could also add to it.
Okay. Sure, Jen. Well, the development of SEL happens quite naturally in the PE environment. National Standard Number 4 actually states that a physically literate individual will exhibit personal and social behavior that respects self and others. This happens when students work collaboratively as part of a diverse team, when they challenge themselves to take positive physical and social risks, and when they engage in healthy competition. Our students learn to play basketball by deliberately practicing the skills of dribbling, jumping, shooting, guarding, etc. To learn self-management and self-awareness, they must have opportunities in which to practice regulating their actions and making responsible decisions. To learn conflict resolution, they must first have conflict and a need to solve it. Our job is to provide a safe, inclusive learning environment and opportunities for reflection that connect action to understanding and to future action.
Thank you. Prudy, do you want to add anything?
I'm sure, Jen. That's an interesting question. I do it through UBD process, which is understanding by design. So what you need to do is you need to look at the big picture of your course and think about what transferable learning do you want for all your students. Then you work backwards to ensure that you are developing curriculum maps which align with state and national standards that have explicit teaching of social and emotional learning skills, and at the same time, you're developing the physical literacy for all your students.
Thank you so much. Laura, do you want to continue to add to that?
I just wanted to add that what Prudy said actually outlines our adventure curriculum for physical education, series of 3 books. We call them the trilogy, K through 12, and they are aligned with national and state PE standards and some of the emerging SEL standards nationwide. They do create a progressive, sequenced, and developmentally appropriate series of activities, K all the way through 12. So great teachers can pull activities out and put them when they're appropriate, and great teachers can also follow the curriculum from beginning to end. You can do it throughout a whole year. You can do it in a unit of 3 weeks. However you want to do it, we've done most of the work for you there in making the curriculum user-friendly, easy to follow, and easy to implement.
Thank you so much. Any other? Can Project Adventure SEL programming be done indoors or in a classroom setting? Absolutely. In fact, these activities, most SEL programs use Project Adventure activities to develop community and really to work on and strengthen social and emotional skills. We have activities, it's called Portable Adventure Activities, and we also have Adventure in the Classroom. So these are activities that are meant to be used in a classroom setting. We can also use them in out-of-school programs too, so that they're portable and able to use to really promote the learning and SEL skills. Did you want to add to that, Laura?
Sure. Actually, my example was done in a classroom, say 12 by 15. We don't need a lot of space. To me, adventure isn't about what you do, but rather how you do it. It's a mindset. When students stretch into their optimal learning zone, whether it's academically, socially, physically, or emotionally, they comprehend and connect to learning in new ways. Our workshops help teachers to integrate the tools, whether it's the challenge course or portable adventure or adventure connected to academic content. They allow them to integrate that into their classrooms.
Thank you so much. If we have more. So how do you provide your training in the winter months? Thank you for that question. We go to schools. We can do our adventure programming, our trainings, our train-the-trainer models, working with students within schools. We can go to community organizations. We have a partnership with the Kroc Center in Dorchester and also a partnership with Danvers Indoor Sports, where we can work with groups, both adults and students at those facilities, and really implementing our programming. And we also have adult groups come here to on-site here. How does Project Adventure support the work in colleges and universities? So we've done a lot of work with colleges and universities around advisory groups. So advisory groups will come here to not only develop team leadership, but also to work on facilitation skills, enhancing communication. We work with orientation for first-year students, so bringing a group together, and in fact, colleges often report the impact of this programming, that groups become so much more connected and develop these positive relationships and are there to support each other around this huge transition. So we've had a lot of positive feedback around that. We've also been doing lots of work with some sports teams in the area, so some college sports teams and high school sports teams. They're coming out to our site to really work on some of these important skills that help promote success with teams. Does Project Adventure have assessments to support efficacy? Yes, that's funny. I was just at a meeting yesterday with Panorama. So we are going to be doing a partnership with Panorama to really assess Project Adventure and allowing schools to use this, to inquire about this assessment. And we also have internal in-house assessments where we do assessments that align with our leadership program and also around social and emotional learning. So you can use these assessments as pre-assessments and then have students, do them halfway through programming and at the end. We also have comprehensive plans with lessons that focus on pre-work and post-work to engage students. Question 8 is, how might you tier Project Adventure SEL as an intervention in schools? And I'm asked this question quite frequently. So Project Adventure is a Tier 1 intervention, so it's a more universal approach, which means it is designed to work with all students in all classrooms. And you can tier some of the activities or the learning you're doing also in small groups, doing more targeted interventions, so using certain activities with small groups to promote certain skills. And in fact, Project Adventure is a very effective Tier 2 and Tier 3 intervention too. A lot of the work has been based off programming that we've done with the juvenile justice system or in residential programs that can really help support children in developing these skills. Question 9 is, how do I fit SEL or reflection into an already packed curriculum that's focused on the Common Core? I'm just going to start this off with Massachusetts does have the, as a requirement that most schools have an SEL program. So it is an expectation, and Project Adventure can really fit seamlessly into the school day to support social and emotional skills. But I'm going to hand this one over to Laura and Prudy. And Prudy, I'm going to ask you if you would go first on this.
Okay, so the question is, how do I fit SEL and reflection into my curriculum? Because we know our days are full. We always feel like things are being added and nothing is being taken away. So how we do it in Hamilton Wenham is we work backwards while developing the curriculum, and we're very intentional in connecting the national and state standards with our transfer goals and our essential questions that we have woven throughout our curriculum. So by providing students these opportunities to reflect on their social and emotional learning, it gives me, the teacher, or you, the teacher, real-time information. Are your students understanding the concepts you were trying to cover? Do you need to revisit these concepts to increase student learning? Or do you need to extend these concepts? And this kind of goes along with the assessment piece, because you use that assessment piece to see, are they meeting the curricular goals that I want? Do I need to go back and reteach something? So the key is that with thoughtful and intentional and a developmentally appropriate curriculum, it enables you many opportunities to fit in that explicit teaching of social and emotional learning skills. It's not something where, how am I going to squeeze it in? You have time to do that.
Thank you so much. All right.
We have time.
That? We have about a minute.
Okay. All right. I think my quick answer to that question is it is challenging. You have a lot going on, especially in a PE setting. I think partly it's a paradigm shift. We need to use the experiential learning cycle combined with deliberate practice more intentionally, in that we provide opportunities for active debrief throughout the activity and throughout the period of time that we're with them. We don't wait to the end when they're halfway out the door and you're moving on to the next thing. We can help educators do this. We have a lot of opportunities for increasing capacity by improving facilitation skills so that we can pull out those SEL outcomes that we're looking for. We have advanced processing, adventure facilitation skills, debriefing tools for physical educators. It gives us active, ready, ongoing debriefing tools that you can use in your classes.
Thank you so much. And that applies not just to PE, but also to all teachers and educators within a school system. So our time is up, and I just want to thank you all for joining us today. If you have more questions, please visit our website, and we look forward to having you at our next webinar, which is mindfulness. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.